We're going to be doing a stroke analysis today for John in California. And recently on the forums at essentialtennis.com, John posted a video of his backhand slice and asked for some feedback. And I'm going to do a little comparison here between myself and John. And to kick things off, I'm just going to play through a couple backhand slices of myself, first from a back view, and we're going to play a couple from a side view as well. I'd like to point out that these slices that I'm hitting here are very straightforward. I'm not trying to hit these very aggressively or very hard. This is really just kind of a straightforward defensive type backhand slice. Really very consistent shot and very easy to keep in play. And here's from a side view. It's a very, very useful shot to have for defensive situations and just having a kind of a change up or a mix up in your shots during a rally. It's a very useful shot to have. I'm going to play two more here, and then we're going to do a little analysis, and I'm going to talk to you guys about what really I'm looking for. Now, the first thing I want to point out is the U-shaped racket path. The racket on each of these shots you're going to see from me starts up around shoulder height. And as I said before, I'm not hitting these very aggressively. When you guys watch professional players line up and hit a slice, oftentimes you'll see them take the racket back farther than I have here. I'm really just trying to kind of groove my shot, stay consistent, and keep the ball in play. And so you'll see that my racket has started really kind of right behind the ball. It's not really behind my body much at all. If I wanted to hit this more aggressively and hit kind of more of a biting slice and really hit kind of more of a laser type shot straight across the net, I would be turning my body more so that my back was facing towards the net, and my racket would probably be back behind my head rather than directly behind the ball. Now, it starts from shoulder height. I want you guys to notice contact here. We're going to take a look at the side view in a second, but you'll see from the side view that contact is made right about the front edge of the body. Good contact here by me, luckily, on this shot, right in the middle of the racket. The racket will continue on downwards, and that's important. This is what puts the backspin on the ball. As contact is made, the racket is still in the process of moving down, and then it'll come back up again to right about shoulder height. So I begin the swing back here at shoulder height, make contact right at waist height, racket continues downwards, and then comes back up again to about shoulder height. I also want you guys to notice where the tip of my racket is pointing here, back out towards my target, and take a look at my chest. I've opened up a little bit, but not very much. I'm allowing my body to turn, but there's not a whole lot of core rotation here. Most of the strength is coming from my left shoulder as I come from below the ball and out towards my target. Now, from a side view, let's take a look at this one. You guys will notice the same things, same preparation with my racket right behind the ball. Contact is made for me a little lower here this time. I'm going to go to a different shot so that you guys can see right at contact. Shoulder height. Here's contact. I want you guys to notice that the racket is just in front of the front edge of my body. Right about the front edge of my body. I also want you guys to notice the angle of the strings. My racket is slightly open, but not very much. I would estimate, I don't know, this is probably around 15 degrees or so, maybe 10 or 15 degrees open, not a whole lot. If I was trying to hit this shot more aggressively, I would have a slightly more closed racket face. You guys will notice from the back view that most of my slices here are traveling across the net by several feet. I'm really just trying to keep these in play. Really the lowest I get is maybe 1.5 feet or 2 feet over the top of the net. And so if that's the type of shot you guys want to play, we want a racket face right about here. If you want to really knife the ball, hit it more aggressively and keep it lower over the net, which you guys will see the pros do sometimes as an approach shot or just as a change of pace or to bring their opponent forwards, then you would want your racket face to be a little bit more closed. Then I go out and towards my target. And again, my body opens up a little bit, not a whole lot, and notice the tip of my racket pointing out towards my target. Let's just go through one more. Shoulder height, just in front of the front edge of my body, slightly open racket face, and then out towards my target. Okay, now that we know what we're looking for, we're going to go ahead and go to John's examples, and we'll see what he can improve in order to make his backhand slice a little better. Now, John sent this video in about a month ago. It's taken me a little while to get to this, which I apologize for, John, by the way. It's taken me a while to get my own video recorded of my backhand slice. But to be fair to John, he's already made several improvements to his backhand slice. This is a little bit dated video of his backhand. He's made really some pretty big changes. And John, I can do an analysis of your more recent backhand slice videos as well, but I wanted to use this video as an example to show people some areas that are pretty commonly done incorrectly that I think a lot of people watching can probably take some cues from. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play through a couple of John's backhands so that you guys can get an idea of what we're working with here, and then we'll take a couple frame by frame. Let's watch one more. Okay, so let's look at the same elements that we did for mine. Now, John's backswing here is a lot bigger than mine. You'll notice the tip of his racket is pointing back to the fence on his right, and his racket really is not only back behind his head, but sticking out back on the right side of his body, completely on the other side of his body. So he's taken a much more aggressive approach to this shot than the ones that I was hitting. And so this kind of a setup would be used to really hit an aggressive slice, not a very defensive shot. The shots that I was hitting, while they weren't aggressive, weren't terribly defensive either. And you guys noticed that I did not take a very big swing at the ball, but I was still easily putting it deep in play. And John here has taken the racket back quite a bit farther. Moving forwards, he has a downward path towards the ball. Contact is made just in front of his body. It would help to see a side view, but it looks like his contact point here is good, very similar to mine. Also, his racket face is not too open. It looks slightly open from this angle. Racket continues downwards. And this is where I think John needs the most amount of help based on this video, is his follow-through. You guys will notice that his racket finishes here almost where it started, back behind him, well over on the right side of his body. And he's taken his racket all the way across his body, and his racket here his arm is bent back behind him. And you guys remember, let's go back to my racket here. Let's just watch the first one we see. You guys will notice that my arm here finishes really pointing, I'm left-handed, obviously. My arm is pointing towards the left net post. So for John to do the same thing, we'd be looking for his fist to be pointing out towards the right net post. And his arm is pointing back towards the houses behind him. So he's taken an extra probably, at least 90 degrees of turning and bending, moving his arm back behind him, and he's taken it much farther than I did. So both his backswing and his follow-through are significantly bigger than mine. And I think that's really the main thing to be pointed out here. Again, his contact point looks good. Racket face looks good. I like how he's moving forwards into this shot. But the follow-through, and he doesn't go quite as far this time because he didn't open his body up as much on this shot, but you'll notice again his racket pointing this time towards the fence on the right, maybe a little bit towards the fence behind him, and he's just making a very aggressive swing at these. So John, my biggest piece of advice for you based on this video would be to not be so aggressive, line the racket up with your target, make a little bit more straightforward swing with the racket. And when I say straightforwards, I'm not talking about your attack downwards towards the ball. I think the high to low part of your swing is great, but you are rotating the racket around your body much more than is necessary. Stop by Essential Tennis today to take advantage of features such as video instruction covering technique and strategy, a weekly audio podcast with over 100 archived episodes, a written instructional blog, WTA and ATP Tour News blogs, and a members forum where Ian and other certified tennis professionals answer questions. Best of all, it's all free. Check it out today.